When I was in the hospital in April, I had a really, really terrible psychiatrist. And I'm trying to find ways in my heart to see that this person was just doing what they thought was right, even though it was really bad for me. But I was so angry. And when I was able to switch psychiatrists, I just had this thought in my brain that said, I am going to render you obsolete. So that would be the biggest revenge, even though I don't think of it as revenge. Because whatever amount I suffered because of that person, what hurts more is that how many more people are suffering because of that psychiatrist who is really, really not good. Not doing good things to people. And so I had the sense that what I really wanted to do was render her obsolete and other psychiatrists who are not good. The psychiatrist really tried to overmedicate me, and I strongly suggested that I did not want that to happen, and she did not listen. Luckily, I was able to switch psychiatrists, and the one that I had before listened to me, and I'm not on all those antipsychotics. So what hurts more is that that person's still out there doing things to people, thinking that she's doing good. That's kind of the worst part, is that she actually thinks she's doing something good. And maybe she's helping some people, but I think she's harming more than she's helping. And there's a lot of doctors out there who don't over-medicate, and it's not a perfect system, but they make it bearable if it has to be there. So, rendering it obsolete. And how to do that, that's another story. But I feel like it could have something to do with the opposites of psychosis, like play, laughter, humor, nature, things that make us sane, and things that we need to be sane to enjoy. I feel like putting more of that out there in the world will spontaneously make some of the awful stuff disappear. There's way too much seriousness out there. I was actually reading Nikola Tesla's last interview, and he said something about how seriousness is the worst, and that all his years that he did all those experiments, he was playing the whole time. It was play. And basically that's like the most important thing. And I feel like we forget to play, and then that's when the whole awfulness can creep in. So also what I like about play is that there's no us versus them. We're all in it together. We're playing a game, or we're playing, and we're doing it to have fun, not necessarily to accomplish a goal or to fix something. And also it evens the playing field. person could be in a group playing, and one person might have a mental health diagnosis and another person could be a psychiatrist. It can still all play. So that's one thing. And I also feel like to survive, I have to do a little bit of lifestyle design. So design my lifestyle to be trauma informed and also to be more in line with nature and with the fact that we're all connected and we're all one. So my lifestyle has to be around that, because when I go into psychosis, I get all these signs and feelings and perceptions that we're all one, I'm not quite living up to what I'm supposed to be doing, blah, blah, blah. Well, if my lifestyle was in alignment with oneness, and I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which might just be living in alignment with oneness, then perhaps I wouldn't go into psychosis. And this is just a little theory. I don't know if it's true. Also need to change a lot of the language around this. Maybe this is really nature deficit disorder. Maybe this is just we forgot how to play and we're too serious or we're lost in thought. There's so many other ways to think about it. And even in my own situation, I experienced some trauma. So maybe I choose to frame it in that I experienced trauma. Or maybe I want to say, I decided to be an academic at the age of 7, and I experienced mania as a result of a repressed childhood. I can make up anything I want and choose the language around where I'm to go next. So maybe I want to decide, well, I'm really a superhero in training and I don't quite know how to be a superhero yet. So it takes practice. It's a completely different occupation than anything I've ever tried before. And I'll just keep at it. Relanguaging it in a way that empowers me, not takes my power away. What good is that? Now, another thing to work on is my relational mind, relating to people. I feel a little bit down in this regard. One thing I don't like is that it's really noisy on this freaking street. Now, it would be really good to create more laughter out there. We need more laughter. The mind is very powerful. Like, holy crap, when I go into psychosis, you can't stop it. It takes over and it directs my entire life. And it's just all scary stuff. Now, what if there's something that's always operating in my life that I don't realize is operating, but in the times that psychosis is not operating, the rest of the time something else is operating. And now this thing is a really good thing. And what is that good thing? And how do I get in alignment with that good thing? I'm not sure. Now, a lot of people talk about imagination and guided imagery, or thinking of a time when I was empowered. I want to think about and imagine and reactivate my brain cells around my experience of mania, because I was superhuman and I feel like I can get back to that one day. Not that I want to get back to that euphoric feeling, but just being that empowered. I don't need that feeling. I'm not chasing feelings here. I'm talking about actually being able to just be that charismatic and influential for all good reasons and ways. For the good of all. For the good of all humanity. Now, who does not want that? Yet it's called insanity. You know, we really have to help each other with this. Those of us who know this, I feel like so many of us are just trying so hard to be like that main messenger spokesperson and climb to the top, when really we need to embrace each other exactly where we are and climb to the top together. And this is not about money. It's about kindness. It's about actually creating a new currency. Maybe something more powerful than money. Money's a convenient social exchange, and it's not that it shouldn't exist, but so much of what we could offer each other is so lost because we're waiting for a way to monetize it. When if we just got together and really put our hearts together, and you know, people like you and I, we have to do this because we've connected with that thing, that essential thing that has shown us that we're actually all connected and we're all one. You know, so anything that we do that's not good, it affects everyone. And the good news is that anything we do that's good, it affects everyone. So if we can do good all together, put aside the fact that we've been traumatized by mental health system and just build something, who knows what, from the ground up, I think we have the advantage. Everyone in the system works in the system and is lost in the system and is so wanting to fix this system so they can continue to work in a system to help us. Well, maybe we don't need their help as much as we think they do or they think we do. You know, maybe we can help each other, and then we'll be the ones helping them loosen their neckties. Like, why aren't we doing this? We really have to help each other, and we really have to liberate each other. It's going to take a while for the system to do that for us. We need to shift the paradigm. We need to show them the value of our hearts and our minds. Our minds and our hearts have connected, and maybe that's been medicated away from us somewhat, but it's still there underneath. We still know. We know what it's like to be marginalized, but there's a lot of us. You know, we can be marginalized together, and then we're not marginalized. I've felt the worst kind of sorrow and sadness and suffering, so much so that it's beyond anything I could ever imagine that was an accumulation of just my own personal life. It feels like it's from some collective human dimension that we all share and we can access, but you really wouldn't want to open that can of worms. But in some people, like in myself, that can of worms gets opened, and those worms are freaking scary worms. And basically what I'm saying is I've really stayed with those worms and meditated on those worms last time especially. I didn't take many PRNs. I stayed with the suffering instead of trying to medicate it away. And by staying with the suffering, each thing that came up, like if there was this like awful pain, it was a body pain and scary stuff and awfulness, it eventually went away. And then maybe something else would come up later. But each one that I was able to go through, in a way, made me stronger. It made me see something else. It made me feel something new. And it's not always pleasant. But maybe that's one of the things, is that we're so used to instantly trying to escape from pain. But from my experience last time, the more I stayed with the pain and I watched it and I observed it and I meditated on it, it sort of transmuted in a way. And each experience felt like the empathy that I had for different people and situations grew. And I had a really bad experience, and I experienced the worst kind of sorrow and pain. I was raped every night in a waking nightmare for days on end. And it was scary and painful. And I'm not sure if there's a next time, if I have another psychosis, if it'll just keep getting worse, the experiences, in order to make me stronger with empathy, or if it'll be less because I already took a lot of that pain. But what I'm saying is, this sorrow and sadness, it seems to transform into compassion and a passion for life. Not passion for anything in particular, but just for living life. I feel almost like the deeper the sorrow, the deeper the passion. And to me, that's a gift. And I might be singing a different tune if this comes back anytime soon. I hope it doesn't. If it does, I'm thinking maybe I can get through it at home, because last time the psych ward was really bad, and I don't want a chance getting a terrible psychiatrist again who doesn't listen. So what I'm saying is, we can be made stronger. And just having that compassion, do you feel more compassionate? Maybe not necessarily in a way, because maybe you had a traumatic experience in the hospital. It's hard to go out of that and then say, oh, I feel compassion for humanity, when really it was just traumatic. But if there wasn't that trauma associated with it, or even just having that trauma of the psych ward, can bring on compassion, because you wouldn't want to hurt another person like that. Or maybe you just feel almost like you could never even do that. Like, how could someone do that? Like, take all a person's power. It's like torture in a way. No one wants to be tortured. I feel like we really, really could mess them up by being really kind and compassionate towards ourselves, towards the people that are not always kind and compassionate towards us. But for example, if you felt that compassion and that connection for everyone, it's a gift, and in a way, we shouldn't let them take that away from us because they mistreated us, because they don't see who we are and who we're becoming. We're becoming connected to our empathy and our heart and our emotions. And that's maybe one of the reasons why we develop symptoms and behaviors, because all of a sudden we're feeling all these things that we never felt before. But then we're treated like we're crazy, when really it could be that our feelings and our sensitivities are ignited, and then we see what's really going on, or some things that are happening, and it hurts us. And it's really hard to live in that mess. It's like we don't see the mess when we're really in it. But then as soon as that perception moves us to the point where we can see some of this stuff, it really messes us up. Like I was messed up by trees getting cut down. And yeah, the opposites of psychosis. Play, being childlike, innocence, nature, creativity. You know, so many of us have the urge to be creative when we have an altered state of consciousness. You know, maybe the universe just wants us to be more creative. And I know that a lot of us have a lot of ideas. Now imagine if we could get together and talk about some of our ideas. Not all of them would be that great, but some of them might be pretty good. And I feel like we could get together a bunch of ideas, like a ton. One day companies will be coming to us to ask for ideas and insights into things, because we see a lot. But the trouble is, we're not seen as seers. We're seen as ill, when really we've just sort of been put into a whirlwind by seeing a lot, perceiving perception, whether it's thoughts or whether it's something going on out there. I feel like we need to be able to talk to each other about all this stuff and talk about our experiences, but not necessarily as final steps, but just as talking about experiences and the meaning it has for a person. Because there can be some meaning in these experiences, but to me, that's not the end-all be-all. Just because I have maybe a spiritual experience doesn't mean that's something for me to cling to and hope for again. I feel like it's to be learned from, integrated, and then who knows what's going to happen next. It could be something spiritual, it could be something scary. Whatever is supposed to come next. I also feel like the next phase of change, needs to be motivated by play and not pain. We're so used to meeting up at depression group or anxiety group or cognitive behavioral therapy group. And these are all fine and dandy. But what about just meeting up to play and be playful? We don't even know how to play anymore. And that's sad. If you can find your sense of humor, we need it in society big time. I feel like we could make some pretty funny stuff out of some of the funny stuff we've experienced. And the world could use that. Find your humor, find your laughter. It really matters. We need to make the system invisible. It's there for us, but not to be a barrier to us or to enclose us. Right now, I have a psychiatrist who is a yoga teacher. Now, imagine if all psychiatrists were also yoga teachers. The world would be a better place. I think we really want to be altruistic. I feel like we have time on our hands. A lot of us do. We have good hearts. Now, maybe we could have crews of crazy people committing random acts of kindness. and this would make us feel better, and it would also reduce the stigma. So instead of saying, oh, don't stigmatize us, wah, wah, maybe we should just go out and do something to show that we're amazing people, because we are. We're more amazing than most undiagnosed people, in my view. And we just gotta go and show them. It's not that difficult. And then they will wish they were us. That's my instruction to you. 2 to 3 hours a week, random acts of kindness or kindness. Start making your list and checking it twice. Maybe, just maybe, psychosis is a good thing. I can't believe I'm saying this after the last hospital experience I had was so terrible. Seriously, this lady wanted to drug me up on 800 milligrams of Seroquel XR. Now, from what I've heard, that's a lot of Seroquel. I'm now on 50 milligrams of Seroquel XR. If that lady would have gotten her way, I would be in tertiary care right now. And I'd probably weigh 100 pounds more. Psychosis is an inward phenomenon. It may have behavioral manifestations, but that's only because the inward dream, thought, reality is not congruent with the outward. Now, it never usually is. If a normal person thinks about their experience, they're normally thinking about something in the past or the future, and they're not actually in the present moment. Now, the same happens with psychosis, but that range of thinking increases not just from your own personal little I am this, I am that, to, past stuff you've done, scary stuff, nightmare stuff, collective consciousness stuff, so much stuff. It's like information overload. So it's pretty hard to walk around and behave normally. But it's from that inward monologue that's going on, that's gone crazy, that makes a person act out. And so I don't know what my point was with that, but basically, well, I guess it is a lot of the therapy's focused on behavior, when it's not about the behaviors and stuff. It's more than that. I want to be able to see the whole of psychosis and just be done with it. Screw you, psychosis. Screw you, collective unconscious. I don't need you. Go away. Okay? Just get lost. Go away. Yeah. Actually, there's a book by, I think it's John Weir Perry, but I'm not sure. Could be the other guy. But basically he talks about how if such and such and such and such, then psychosis would not be necessary. So he talks about, basically saying it's sort of a manifestation that's necessary because of XYZ. Now, I can't remember what that XYZ was, but it was pretty cool. And basically, psychosis is everybody's problem, is what I'm trying to say here. Another reason why we have to be happy is because you and I, with a diagnosis, will die 25 years before our normal people, friends. I don't know why that is, Could have something to do with taking medication. Could have something to do with ending one's life early. Manifesting other illnesses as a result of low socioeconomic stuff. But basically, we better have fun before we die. And if I'm going to die 25 years early, that means I have like 15 years left. And I really want to have some fun. And maybe by having some fun, that will increase longevity. I really see mental health diagnosis as an opportunity to recreate myself. This is because of having the slate wiped clean with a dirty rag, perhaps, but sort of clean, and also a lot of the social supports that I have, and the time to ponder and experiment and try different things in my life to see what works, versus had I been stuck in some position somewhere where I'm just doing that for the rest of my life. And having a diagnosis actually gives me the opportunity to recreate myself at any moment, because I could be like, blah, this isn't working for me, this is making me crazy, and do something different. Or even 5 seconds from now, I can just put on a totally different something and go with it and try it out. So I like to try to recreate and rediscover myself all the time. And I think part of being diagnosed, or before I was diagnosed, was trying to be somebody I'm not, trying to please people that I can't please, trying to be somebody who somebody else wants me to be. And I really have to be me, and I don't exactly know who that is, but a lot of times I can see who that's not, or I can see I don't want to be that way anymore, and just really revamp myself. Instead of being like, okay, I'm going to stigmatize myself for this label that's been given to me. No, I'm going to recreate myself, and I'm going to laugh at myself, and I'm going to make fun of myself, and I'm going to be the best damn crazy person that anyone can be. It's really helped. And it also helps because I no longer fit the mold of normal. So now I don't even have to try to fit it. I don't have to try to be like everyone else. I'm already not like everyone else. And I'm kind of glad about that, because I'm not like everyone else. So why would I try? And it's kind of giving me the opportunity to be whoever I want to be. And it's congruent with how I felt in mania, that I could be almost anyone I want to be. I don't feel that same way now, because I'm not manic, but I feel still that there is an element of truth that I can move towards being the best self that I can be. And some of those traits were how I was in mania. And maybe I don't want to be all of those ways, but maybe that was me trying on many, many ways at the same time. It's really, really hard to do that, so it couldn't really last. But I can still go about trying on other ways of being. And some of them I probably developed some neurons for, because I was that way for a while. Without trying, it just sort of happened. You know, that energy in the universe can do anything. Maybe it just wanted to show me a little bit more of myself and my capabilities and my possibilities and my potential. So it's funny that I saw tons of potential in myself, yet I then become one of the marginalized and stigmatized populations in the world, when really I see that people have a lot more potential than they know. Probably because they're just so tense trying to be something they're not. And I'm not saying that means I know what I am and what I'm supposed to be. I really don't. I'm also forgetful, so I'm probably repeating myself. So after trying on all those ways of being in mania, I feel like psychosis is the destructive phase. It comes in and it's like, you suck, you can't do anything. All those ways, oh, you thought you were so great, now, no, you suck, you can't do that. And then the world comes in and confirms that and says, okay, you're gonna suck forever. But really the trick is that it just brings me down to the bottom of the barrel so I can start from scratch. It's just wiping the slate clean. It's saying, hey, I gave you all those cool traits in mania. Well, don't get used to any of them, because now you have to earn them. And now you have to forgive yourself for feeling like crap about yourself after feeling so great. But really, if you feel so great without really developing it properly in your brain and, quote unquote, earning it, then it's not really real yet. That's just like taking a drug or something, which I did not take a drug. I was actually raw vegan, which maybe was like a drug because I was so clean and healthy and feeling so great that eventually I felt too great.